Hi everybody, I'm Aphrodite Rose Starfire. Welcome to my channel. So this is not a very happy subject, but what most people, I guess, would call Holy Spirit, I see it as my future self or myself outside of time. But you know, that spirit has been really pushing me to make this video and to share my story of what happened to me. I wanted to say that other than like Holy Spirit telling me to make this video and like nagging me to make this video, the main reason I'm doing it and sharing this story is because I have this feeling that there's other beings trying to steal my story or trying to claim my story as their own. Because there's other beings that, you know, they talk about psychic attacks and being psychically raped, and they also say they're walk-ins, and they just kind of are following paths that I've walked in. And it's like, I've actually been raped in San Diego. Like, I've actually been raped by the military, like physically in this body. I wasn't psychically, you know, some entity in the corner. No, like that actually happened to me. So I just feel like I needed to take ownership of what happened to me in my story, because it feels like something else is going to try to say that they're going to say it happened to them before I'm able to say that it happened to me. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, so this is my story. This happened to me. This happened to my body. And I was targeted. So, thanks. It took me a really long time to accept that I was raped. Because I blamed myself for putting myself in that situation. And it took me even longer, like, for years I would just say, like, something bad happened to me. Like, I couldn't say that I was raped. And then, like, it took me, like, 10 years to admit that I was raped. And then it took me, like, another, it wasn't till, like, around 2017, 2018 that I actually came to the realization that I was drugged as well. I had blocked a lot. Well, it's more like I just didn't want to look at it. And that I blamed myself for it, for being stupid. Because in actuality, when this happened to me, I was 21 years old, and I went home with this man, and I had an intention of sleeping with him. And I didn't consent to him drugging me and raping my unconscious body. I didn't consent to that. But it took me a really long time to come to that understanding with myself. So to give you a little context of where I was in my life, I had turned 21 and I had transferred from Santa Barbara City College to UC San Diego. That's University of California, San Diego, in La Jolla. And I decided to live in Pacific Beach. In Pacific Beach, I ended up living with a girl that I met while I was rushing a sorority, and I ended up recognizing her because she was from my hometown, and she graduated the year before me, in the same high school as me, so we were from the same hometown, and we ended up being roommates, and I lived in Pacific Beach, and we went out a lot. The college I went to, UC San Diego, is really studious and nerdy, and I was like in upper level human biology classes and pre-med classes. So I really made an effort to have an outgoing social life because I had transferred to the school, and so I didn't have the background of friends of like being in the dorms or being in clubs and meeting people in the cafeteria and stuff. I didn't have all of that. So I really made an effort to party and to make friends that were outgoing and that would want to do that with me. So this was like a time where I think it was still really innocent. I turned 21 at the end of 2004. So at the beginning of 2005, I was going out a lot with my friend Nicole and my roommate, and which is funny because that's also my middle name. So we would go out in Pacific Beach, and the whole area of San Diego is very, very young, and it was true at that time too, probably even more so because there's so many colleges. There's the college I went to, University of California, San Diego. There's Cal State San Diego, which has like a big nursing program, and that's a big party school. There's University of San Diego, which is a Catholic, like Jesuit university. Then there's all the community colleges around there. There's and then there's all the military bases. So you have Camp Pendleton, which is in northern San Diego County, and then right there where I was at in Pacific Beach, there's the Naval Academy. There's the Naval Base. There's Point Loma, which is like Point Loma of Nazarene, which is like a seminary school, so you don't really see those people out very much. But there's a Coast Guard base, there's an Army base, there's the Border Patrol. It's like every military outfit is represented in San Diego. And also a lot of people from Arizona. Colleges come out to San Diego for the weekend to party. So the town I was in was very, very young, early 20s, very party mentality. This was like a time of innocence. This was before social media. There was this thing called PB Block Party where they would shut down the town and you could drink in the streets, and people were drinking on their roofs, and just doing really crazy stuff, and they shut that down like in 2006, like right after I left. But so this was in 2005. I think it was like in the springtime or the summer, and I was going out probably three nights a week drinking, and I thought I was pretty safe and smart, but I would, a lot of times, I'd get guys to buy me drinks, and a lot of times they were like military guys, Marines, you know. A lot of times they were guys my age, like early 20s, like 21. And sometimes I would just go home with a guy and just like sleep in their bed with my clothes on and like just like make out with them. I wouldn't have sex. I would just do it. It would be really innocent. And then I'd go home in the morning, and like I'd usually like see them out again at the club, you know, in a few nights, and we might, like, that was considered hooking up back then. Like, you didn't actually have sex. Like, you went home and then you maybe like fooled around, but like a lot of times the clothes stayed on, kind of stuff, and you just like passed out. Well, this one night, Nicole and I, we would frequent pretty much the same bars. And the first bar we would go to is Typhoon Saloon. And this was on, there's two main streets that have the bars and clubs. This is on, I think, Garnett. Yeah. So we go Typhoon Saloons, Big Bertha's, which had like music and dancing, and then across the street was the Tavern Saloon. Yeah, we call it the Tavern, and that was like a little bit more like sports, but they would have dancing too. The weird thing is that I always end up like meeting people that are from my hometown in California, which is a very small town. It's like 27,000 people. And so I met my roommate down there who was from my hometown, Benicia, and she ended up dating a guy who's also from my hometown, Adam. He graduated 2 years after me, or 2 years before me in 2000. And so she started dating him. So we're all from the same town, which was weird. And so they ended up like later getting married, but at the time they were just dating. And so I don't know if like, you know how that goes when you have your like wing woman, you know, your friend that you're both single, and then that person gets a boyfriend, and then you're kind of like the third wheel, and you're like, your friend no longer is like going with you to go talk to guys because she already has her boyfriend. But she was pretty good about it. Like, we would go out early, and then her boyfriend would show up later. But this night, we go to Tavern, and I remember getting there, and immediately this guy like locks on me, and he was older. He was like 30, and he was military. He came up, I remember he came up and approached me, and I thought that was cool because a lot of like, I like admired any guys that would come up and hit on me. And so So he started buying me drinks, and he wanted me to drink Jaeger. And I drank Jaeger in the past, but if you don't know, Jaeger is like a very licoricey, it tastes like NyQuil. It's a liquor, and it has a white stag on the bottle. It's a big green bottle, and it looks German. And that was what he wanted me to drink, and I've actually researched it since then, and it actually is supposed to have stag's blood in it. And I think this Jaeger, as I've thought about it later, way later in life, about, reflecting on the story about what happened, is like, it's a very ritualistic, almost a magical potion that was put onto me, because the whole story of Jaeger is about Hubertus, like the hunter seeing the white stag and then vowing to never hunt again. So it's all about the hunt and the deer. So I was like Jane Doe. I was like the doe, like the deer sacrifice. The white doe. So anyways, this man, he was like 30. I was 21. I was very young. I remember he was like maybe like 5'10", 5'11", and he looked like buff. Like he looked like kind of a Guido kind of guy. And he told me that he was a Navy officer. And I knew that what was high up because I had actually dated recently before that. I had dated a Navy helicopter pilot. I was going on dates with this Navy helicopter pilot, and who had like just returned from like the floods in Thailand, like helping out. So I knew an officer, you had to like have like a college degree, and it was really high up. And so this whole time, so I'm going to show you a clip of what this guy reminds. Like, I saw a clip of this guy beating on his wife, and he reminded me of what I remember this man looking like. He looked like he did steroids.
Or this sadistic beating. That's basically what the prosecutor said multiple times, and you're going to hear more of that a little bit later. But the bottom line here is that Paul Bashi, he's 37 years old, he's from Macomb County, and he basically pled guilty, not too long ago, to the charges of assault with attempt to murder.
So he just kept feeding me Jaeger shots. He kept on buying me Jaeger shots, and we were doing Jaeger bombs, which is when you drop a shot of Jaeger into a glass of Red Bull. And I've also done extensive research into Red Bull, which I think is like hexed menstrual blood, because Red Bull gives you wings. It's an energy drink that gives mostly men energy. And the bull, red, red is blood, red bull is the Taurus, uterus, Taurus is the bull's horn. So a red bull gives you wings. A bleeding uterus, Red Bull gives you wings when you it's slang for when you eat out a woman on her period, you get your red wings because you get blood on your cheeks. So Red Bull gives you wings. Is basically code for drinking menstrual blood, but I think it's hexed. I think it's like menstrual blood from like some evil witch or something. Anyways, he was feeding me shot after shot, and I remember looking over at Nicole and her boyfriend, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I'm fine. And I remember even the bartender not wanting to feed me any more shots. I got really, really drunk. And he kept on wanting to buy me shots, and the bartender didn't want to give me, she wanted to cut me off. So I probably had like 7 or 8, 9 shots of liquor, of Jaeger. And then he asked me if I wanted to go home with him, and I said yeah. And he said that he lived really close by. So I went and told my friend, you know, like, hey, I'm going to go home with him. And she's like, are you okay? Like, are you sure? Like, you shouldn't go home with him. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's okay. I think I even told her, like, he's always a Navy officer. So then, he walks me to his place, and like, I wasn't stupid. I knew he was older. I knew he was feeding me drinks. And I knew that he would probably have an expectation of wanting to have sex, and because he was older. And I honestly had been okay with that. Like, I had made the decision, like, I was okay with having sex with this person. As I'm like, you know, when I decided to go home with him, I like knew, like, if we ended up having sex, that would be okay. So we're walking through the alleyways of Pacific Beach behind the bar, and it wasn't that far behind. The way Pacific Beach is set up is there's a lot of like back alleyways where people park and people like enter into their apartments. So his apartment was on the second floor, and we went up these stairs to get to his front door, and it must have been 2 apartments on that building at the top. So we walk in, and I walk in, and there was like the kitchen and then the living room, and I almost feel like there was like a step down into the living room. So he has me like sit down in this chair, this kind of comfy chair, and he's like, let me get you something to drink. And this is the part that I had totally didn't even realize what had happened until like over 10 years later. But he made me a glass of orange juice, and it was in this like glass tumbler, like a bar drink tumbler. And I remember he handed it to me because I was sitting, he handed it, and he's like, here, vitamin C. Here, I remember he said vitamin C. And I drank it, and I remember it tasted funny, but at the time I didn't think anything of it. And then he's like, okay, come on. And then he takes my hand, and he leads me like through the kitchen, and then the kitchen kind of wraps around, and then it goes back into his bedroom, and then at the end of his bedroom is a bathroom. And he takes me into his bathroom and he's like, here, brush your teeth. And he pulls out from underneath the cabinet a brand new toothbrush, like still in the package. And he opens up the package and hands me the toothbrush. And he's like, here, brush your teeth. And I remember thinking, like, oh, what a nice guy. He's giving me a brand new toothbrush. Like, wow. He, like, opened a new toothbrush just for me. Like, I remember thinking that. Like, it was some kind of, chivalrous gesture. But it wasn't until, like I said, till like 2018 that I had this realization that he drugged me with the orange juice, and he wanted me to brush my teeth right away afterwards to get any of the drug out of my mouth for whatever he was planning on doing to me. He didn't want to get himself drugged by kissing me or putting whatever he was going to put in my mouth. He wanted me to brush my teeth to get the drugging medication out so he wouldn't drug himself. So I remember brushing my teeth, and I remember his room had dark walls and the light was on. And then I kind of remember him just kind of like pushing me on the bed, and then I black out. And I remember waking up, and he was on top of me and he was raping me. And the lights were on. And then I black out. And then I remember waking up again, and the lights were off, and he was standing at the foot of the bed, naked, and he threw a gym towel, like a hand towel. He threw a towel at me and said, and I was so I was so drugged or whatever. He threw this towel at me and it hit me in my face. And he said, clean up. And he threw the towel and he said, clean up. And I blacked out again. And then I remember waking up, and it was morning, because everything was bright. It was like bright, like it was like bright through my eyelids, like the sun was coming in through his room window or something. And he had like a white comforter, like a down white fluffy comforter. And I remember like trying to wake up and feeling this stinging pain in my pelvic region, like almost like I had a bladder infection. And I'm trying to wake up, and I wake up, and I kind of like looking at this comforter, and I could see this like movement, and then I could feel like pain, and I realized that this guy is eating me out, is like has his face down there, and is violently, it felt like he was eating me, like actually eating. And so I wake up and I push his, I'm like, no, and he like goes up harder, he goes, and I get this like surge, and I'm like, no, and I push his head, and then he just like slowly just like gets up and then rolls over on that side of the bed and with his back to me, and like pretends to go to sleep. And I'm just kind of like, I'm just like sitting there, and I'm just, I was in shock, like, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go, I think I said, and he just pretended to keep sleeping. And so then I get my stuff and I get my clothes on and I get out of there. And I call Nicole, and she's at her boyfriend's house, Adam, and it's not like that far away from where I'm at. So I go over there, and you know, because Adam was in the Army and his roommates were all in the Army. So I'm like, tell them what happened, and I'm like, but I thought, like, I was blaming myself. Like, I was so drunk. Like, I didn't even know I was drugged. Like, I was just like, and they were like, we're gonna beat him up. Where was it? Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no. Like, I don't want to go to the police. I don't want to have a rape kit. Like, what is it? Everybody saw me drinking. Like, everybody saw how drunk I was, and I went home with him. Like, I just knew that. I just knew it was going to be a fight that I couldn't win. I don't know. I probably could have won it, but I really just, I felt so shitty and felt really stupid that I just wanted it to be, I just wanted it to, like, be over with. I just wanted it, I just, like, didn't even want to think about it. So, yeah, and I was actually, like, I was bloody. Like, you know, like later check, like, I was all bloody. Like, my underwear was bloody. And, you know, I called my mom and I told her, and she had offered to kind of, like, she's like, oh, well, should I come? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. But later on, like, I really wanted my mom to come and, like, rescue me, like, be there for me at least. And that was the time I really needed my mom, and I didn't have anybody. So what happened is like, I kind of knew after that, like, I was done with the lifestyle I was doing. Like, I wasn't going to go home with guys anymore like that. Like, I wasn't, like, I really was hard on myself about how stupid I was, and I put myself in that position. And, like, I honest, to this day, I didn't even know what he did to me. Like, I'm sure he recorded it. I'm sure there's some video somewhere. I do think I was targeted. I don't even know if there could have been other people involved. I have no idea. But the next night, Nicole was going out, like, same old, going out with her boyfriend and his friends out to the bars. And I was like, I'm not going out. And she's like, come, like, just come, like, you just have to get back on the horse, kind of thing. Like, you'll just, like, forget about it, like, you know, have fun. Like, she convinced me to go out. And we went to the same place. We went to Tavern. And this is the weirdest thing. This is like, you know, Matrix or whatever. But we're walking into the bar. As we're walking into the bar, there's people walking out. And I swear, it was this man, this same man, this Navy officer man. As I'm walking in, the next night, after he raped me, I'm walking into the bar, and he is walking out with another girl. And she was short, and she was small, and she was tiny. And he is walking her out of the bar as I'm walking in. This is the night after, and at like that moment, like it was like my consciousness like jumped out of my body, and I was like floating over the line of people, like waiting for the bar. I was like, I went out of body when I saw him like walking another girl out the next day. And that's when I knew. I was like, I'm like up against like this. I can't. There's no way. I don't know. It was like everybody knew what was going on. But yeah, it was like I jumped out of my body, and it was like the movie from The Breakfast Club started playing, like, don't you forget about me. So yeah, so after that, like, I didn't go out, like, when I'm like, I see this same guy the night after he attacks me, and see him out, like, I'm not going out anymore. So that's when I got really, like, super studious and was studying for the MCATs for medical school, and, it's also when I signed up to have my brain scanned at UC San Diego for their neurological program, and a lot of that data is now being used for like the God particle, or I don't know, a lot of the neuroscience research coming out of UC San Diego is being used today with the neural implants and I think how we learn on AI. So yeah, I had signed up for my brain to be scanned and mapped right after this happened to me. I think I was paid like $200. But in a way, I feel like that's connected. So yeah, that's about it. I also did end up having my medical procedures after this happened, and I think that was probably connected as well. Like, so this happened in 2005, and in 2006 I was diagnosed with cervical dysplasia, and nowadays if I was diagnosed with the same thing, they would have done nothing. But back then they decided it was pre-cancer and they were going to take it out, so I had to have surgery and had my cervix like lasered out, coned out, and I don't know what other reproductive things were done to me in that procedure. But yeah. So my intent is kind of just to get this out there. I'm not really like trying to prevent anybody from being attacked or anything. I just didn't want to hold on to it anymore. It's like it's not a secret, but people in my life don't like hearing about it. And it's been taking a really long time for me to even be able to like admit that it happened to me. And that I don't know what happened to me. But it's like, I was thinking like how the internet is like a body, and like what we put into it, like our little YouTube videos are like secretions, like we're secreting like hormones into the system, like our secrets, our little secretions of our essence into this other body. And I kind of feel like that's what this is, and I don't have to like hold on to it anymore, like, because I actually in the past had told like serious boyfriends, like, you know, after months of dating and being in a relationship, told them, and them getting like, and I think even my ex-husband, like them actually getting angry at me and angry that it happened to me, and like angry that I was violated like that, and that somebody, because it, and that's even traumatic more when you try to like tell somebody something and then they get angry. I wanted to add that other than it being difficult for me to talk about it in serious relationships, I have had episodes of like PTSD where I'm immediately drawn back, and I have those feelings of like disgust, and it's and feeling violated, and just thinking about the situation. And that has been when and this has happened with different men, where after like this, you know, different relationships that I've had, that after we were done making love or having sex, the guy throws a towel at me or just tosses a towel at me, and that just, even if it's nice, you know, the action of throwing the towel immediately put me in a bad mood and made me cry. Like, it was like super trauma PTSD trigger when a guy did that, because it reminded me of when that man threw the towel and it hit me in the face. That's what happened to me, and it took a long time to get over, you know, that I had in my head consented to possibly having sex with him, and in some way that has like nothing to do with consenting to being drugged, and for somebody to do things to you while you're unconscious and to rape you while you're unconscious. That's not the same thing as consenting to have sex with somebody while you're conscious and awake. So yeah, that's it. Thanks. Please subscribe to my channel. I make other content that's usually more uplifting. Bye.